Okay, so this video we're going over the locate sales order screen. I think this will be good for those of you who are contemplating locate, wanting to see a little bit of locate. There's some other videos on YouTube that look into locate as well. Also, this is a good review for those of you that are new to locate, some of our customers that are just, or some of our clients that are just starting to learn locate. This will be a great review. I'm Lance with Brando Consulting, inventory software expert since 2006. So let's go to the sales order screen. Top left-hand corner, sales and sales order. In another video, we'll take a look at quotes and return orders. That's also an exciting feature that Locate has. First thing it does is brings us to the list of sales orders. That's what you see right here. Takes up the whole screen. Basically, this is a search grid. Every single one of these fields, you can plunk in a bit of data to filter this list to find the sales order you're looking for. And if you want to change the layout of this list, change what you're looking for, kind of customize this list, Locate allows you to do this in this top left hand, or right hand corner, my other right, and click on this little button right here. And you can select which columns you want to see by checking or unchecking these boxes. So definitely take a look at that if you want to change the screen. Okay, so currently we're looking at unissued and issued sales orders. I can click on one of these. Be careful what link you click on. Notice this link will take you to the customer, which is an entirely different screen. This link will take you to the sales order, this number column right here. And then this link will take you to the salesperson that created the sales order. So don't just click on the line. Be carefully click on the link. Also, if I want to navigate back to that screen, I click this back arrow right here. We're back on this screen again. Now, if I don't want to go to a sales order, there's the plus symbol. If we click plus, that will give us a blank sales order screen. Brings us to the same screen, but with a blank sales order. And notice over here on the left-hand side are a list of open sales orders in the issued and unissued status there. And we can select one of those to pull up a sales order that's waiting to be picked, etc., etc. So to create a new sales order, we can click this plus symbol on this screen, or we can go back to that previous screen and click this plus symbol. Play with that a little bit. Get familiar with the navigation from screen to screen. Once you familiarize yourself, you'll start to feel more comfortable with the software. You'll feel like you can find what you're looking for. So here we are on the new sales order, and it defaults to type standard. There's also drop ship and recurring. Now, these features are cool. If you select the drop ship one, it will take away your logo. It'll take your logo off of any customer-facing documents like the packing slip or the sales order. And basically, it's like white labeling yourself for someone else because you're drop shipping the inventory to your customer's customer. All right. I'll show you in a minute drop shipping, creating a drop ship line that your vendor ships to your customer. That's not this feature here. This is you drop shipping to your customer's customer. This recurring one is awesome. If you select on that, it'll give you a new schedule tab on the sales order screen, and you can set how often your sales order automatically creates, and it has some custom settings. So I can think of a couple of my customers that could use that feature. A couple of my customers that I did implementations for in the past. So let's continue with standard here, and we'll select a customer. Let's go ahead and grab someone. Just key in some of the customer's name, scroll down to find the one I like, and select the customer. Oh, that's kind of cool. We get alert. This is gibberish really, because this account that I'm using has gibberish data in it. Basically, it's bogus data. It's a demo copy. So what this is saying is you can put whatever you want in a customer alert. If we go to the customer screen and pull up a customer, let's pull up the customer. You can see here this alert note is just custom. If we click edit details, you'll see we can say whatever we want in this alert note. Whatever we want. And next time we create a sales order for that customer, that alert note will show up. There we go. Look at that. The buyer contact is the customer's contact. The person there at the company that you're supposed to contact. This is grayed out because this customer that I selected is not a company, it's an individual. If we go to our customer list over here, we'll see that there's different types of customers. There's individuals and companies. If we select a company type customer, then that contact field will fill in, and we can select which contact this sales order, which contact initiated this sales order from that company. Customer PO number is what it sounds like. Probably more applicable to companies, but that's colored in for either one. Scheduled fulfillment date. This is a field I see a lot of people skim over, but really helps with picking and knowing when to pick. If you have a customer that doesn't want it immediately, they want it later, which happens sometimes, that's where you would put the later date right there. So this person has a billing and shipping address. You'll see that auto-populated when I selected the customer. And then if these guys had an assignment to a particular sales rep, that sales rep would show up there. Enter your shipping terms, carrier service level, 3-day air or 3-day select, expected delivery date. So that one's different than the fulfillment date, right? That's the date we expect it to arrive at their facility. The date above was the date we expected to ship it out our door. And this is the date we expect it to arrive. Payment terms, those should auto-populate if the customer qualifies for terms and they have terms. So all these fields will auto-populate, except for expected delivery date, that is. All these fields will auto-populate from the customer screen. And if we change it, this is a really nice feature. If we change any of these default terms and we want those terms to go back to the customer screen and update the customer screen without going to the customer screen, say that, then we change that to yes, and it will update that to be the default terms for the customer. So notice there's a save button here, and we haven't yet created the sales order. We've just created the header of the sales order. So we do save the header. We click save, and the header shows up here at the top. All the details that we just selected shows up there, and we can also drill into the details on this detail tab too to see all the details of the customer and the default settings and all that we just selected. Notice now we have links or tabs within the screen ready to be used. And I mentioned briefly the recurring order, and it would create a schedule tab. The schedule tab would appear right here for those recurring orders. So far we have the header of the sales order created. Now if we look down here at the bottom, we see it says line items. That's the next step. Now we start selling and adding line items. So I'll add some parts here and click quick add, and then add some other parts, click quick add. Now let's talk about this for a second. Notice it says auto determine check site. So exactly how does it automatically decide which site to ship it from. That's what it's saying. A site is like a building with an address. You call it a plant, a warehouse, a location group. It's a site. It's a building with an address. And auto determine is checked and the site is grayed out. If we uncheck that, then we can select which warehouse it's shipped from. So how does locate determine which warehouse it's shipped from? It says right here, site will be assigned based on fulfillment priority for the order's shipping address. So it looks at the closest building to that. Now there's another feature over here to the right. Currently we have it on quick add, but we can change this to scan to add. And when I changed that, it picked up this little space right here. So now we can play with our little scanner. Pew, pew, pew. Haha. Here's some barcodes. I found some barcodes. So now we can put our cursor in this field and scan, 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 scan. And we'll notice down below it's adding a line for each blueberry we scan. So kind of a feature that feels like point of sale or counter sales. Just scan, scan. Notice we can change the quantity too. If there's 5 and we want to pre-count and then scan, pew, we've added 5 instead of, pretty cool, huh? Yeah, little feature. All right, so I'll switch this back to type to add, and then it gives us our drop down instead. So what about these here? We got these buttons over on the right, edit, this little drop down. We've got this C right here for QuickBooks class, and options, show inventory, show columns. So we've got some view options. Here's what this is. Play with that, get familiar with it. These are some view options. Save current sales order, reorder lines. So this is where we can add discounts per line. If we click this drop down, we get a lot of options here. You can add a discount, reserve inventory, add a fee. Let's click add discount. So you can see what that looks like. Gives us a pop-up and select a discount that we previously set up in the system. So discounts are set up here. We go to setup discounts, and here we can create discounts that apply to the sales order, the sales line, a purchase order. We can also click new discount and create a generic discount instead of a discount for sales line, sales order, etc. All right, back to the sales order. Back to where we just were, over here to the right under edit, or drop down here, link to job. I'll click on that. So this is a way to aggregate your income or group your income together across multiple sales orders. Let's say you want to calculate a margin, but there's multiple sales orders that feed that same job. And if you want to run a report against the jobs, a profitability report for that job, then you need to assign your cells to a particular job. So you do that right here, and yes, you'd have to each line. There's no job assignment up here. All right, let's keep going. Edit memo. So there's memos and notes. So it's actually the opposite from what I thought at first. The memo shows up on the printout. So on the report printout, you have to select yes to show the memo. But there's no place on the line to show notes. So memos are external, customer facing. The customer sees memos and the customer does not see notes. Let's go ahead and put a memo here. I am a memo. And notice when you add these little things, it shows up so you can edit it later, look at it later. I'll go ahead and add a note, standard or an alert. I am a standard note. I am a line alert note. Oh, I know some of your wheels are spinning on this, thinking about how you can use that alert note. So I'll save it, click close. Now we've got notes on there. Let's add a discount to this. I didn't add a discount above, and I want to show what the discount looks like on the printout. So we'll select a discount there and apply it and close. Clone line, delete line. Those are just what they sound like. Just clone that line and add it to the bottom. We can delete this line. That's a good thing to know. Where do we go to delete the line if we make a mistake? Right there. That drop down on the right hand side. That's how you delete a mistakenly added line. Click the drop down and delete. Void line, in case we want a history of it. We want it still there. We just want to render it inactive or useless. So it'll still remain, but just be voided. That was hard to see the result. Let's look at this again. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. Notice over here on the left, there's 9 lines. And I'm going to say, hey, I scanned one too many, or the customer changed their mind. So I'm going to void this line. I bet I'd delete if I scanned too many, but if the customer called in, I'd want like a record saying, well, they did want it at one time. So I'll click void. I'm going to void line 6. Click yes. So line 6 remains there. The one thing that changed is the status. So look up here at the top where it says status. And then down below, we now see the status is voided. Voided. So it remains there, but it becomes. This is a nice feature. Close short. So close short will become useful once we start fulfilling the order. And if we don't ship the customer everything they needed when they needed it, and the customer calls back and says, hey, I didn't want that, or I don't want it anymore, it's too late, then we can close short that line so the entire order doesn't remain open. View inventory, that's a nice link. That comes in handy to see what we got in stock and what the availability of the inventory is. So a nice quick link to some useful information. Oh, and you're probably wondering what I did to my hand. That was a sledding accident on an icy road with my son. We basically replayed a Dumber and Dumber scene, except for on a sled. Well, the big thing that he was carrying in his backpack came down and smashed my finger. 7 stitches and a broken bone. So anyways, if you've watched this video that far, you're probably wanting to know what happened to my finger, and there you go. Okay, down here, order discounts, order fees. This little plus sign. So back on that previous screen where we created discounts, now you know how to add the discount for the entire order. The discount for the entire order. I don't want to do that though, because I noticed at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see my total margin is only 9%. If we start giving out discounts, we're going to come up short. So we don't want to give out any more discounts. Fees. Think of all the different fees you can add. This example has an installation fee. If you're selling something that needs to be installed, that's just a rough example. These kinds of features, you really need to think about how it would work for you. If I go to setup fees, that's where you add fees that you can select. So if you have any questions of anything we've gone over, just comment in the comments below. Either I'll respond to it or maybe another locate user. So notice at this point there's no save button. It is saving these as we go. However, the status of the order is unissued. And in order for it to appear in the picking screen as an option to create a pick and push this through to fulfillment, we need to change the status of the order to issued. Only then does the system recognize that there is a higher level of inventory demand, and it increases the allocation of the inventory over on the inventory screen. So then your auto purchasing tool or your reorder point report will see that there is a higher level of need for this product. And if you're short, the purchasing tool will tell you how much to purchase to bring your stock back to a healthy stock level. So the order has to be issued in order for it to count. Now, if you want to create an order that's unissued and just leave it as unissued, you may want to consider looking into the quote feature, where you first create a quote and then change the quote to a sales order. That's another option. I think 9 times out of 10, when you put a sales order in the system, you're going to want to change the status to. A lot of options here. We can go straight to the purchase order and create a purchase order, clone the sales order, unissue the sales order, send an email, audit. This is a nice feature that I'm really impressed with in Locate. Is there's an audit trail for everything, and you can go see the complete history of us creating this sales order. I played around and played around and played around with this sales order and clicked here and clicked there, and just about everything I did, it kept track of, and who done it, who did it, who done it. So a great audit trail there. We can auto complete this sales order right from the sales order screen. Auto fulfill, auto complete, sort of skip through picking, packing, and shipping to auto complete it. At this point, we can take a payment. I don't have a payment processor set up in this dummy account, so I can't really demonstrate that on this video. But if you set up connect Locate with a payment processor, you'll go to Setup, Services, New Service, click the drop down, select Payment Processing, and that's where you can select one of the payment processors. Here's the options to choose from. There's all kinds of payment processors under authorized.net. So once you have that set up, then you can take a payment in the sales order screen. So we're back here on the sales order screen and enter a payment. One thing nice that I like is Locate is very customer service friendly for you CSRs that will be using Locate. You can simply click on the operations and see where in the workflow, in the operations workflow, has your sales order progressed to. So you'll see down here we have invoices, pickups, shipments, packs, pick number. So if a customer calls in and says, hey, where's my stuff? Then you can go to their sales order, click on operations, and pull that up. So, and then this email, you can use a sales order template, and there's also rules that you can create for a sales order template to auto email different circumstances. That automation for rules and email templates renders a video in and of itself. So if we go to the print preview of the sales order, that's what it looks like. Look how beautiful that looks. And down here at the bottom of this print preview, there's an email report button. And that brings us back to the email screen as well. And the report shows up automatically as an attachment. You'll see here it's attached. So then I can send that to myself. This is just a bogus email there. Here we go. There's myself. Just say test, test, bottom right hand corner, send. And if I had my email set up, it would send and I'd receive it, but I don't have that set up yet. So to do that, we go to Setup, Email Accounts, and Log. And here's my email account here. It says the status is active. Click on the link, and there we have the port settings. And yep, sure enough, I'm pretty sure I've changed my email address recently, or excuse me, my email password recently. The rest of this should be great. I just need to update my password. Okay, I updated my password. It said the SMTP test was successful. There we are, SMTP test successful. Now we can try this again. Click email, send it to myself, test, click send. And now I get a success. So that should show up in my inbox. And look at that, it showed up in my inbox. That's what it looks like on the other side. Now, of course, we didn't create a pretty HTML template, but you can most certainly do that in Locate. It's a great feature. You can put your logo and your signature and make it look pretty, make it look professional, make it look awesome. So there's only a couple other things to mention. We pretty much covered everything on the sales order screen. This is definitely mentionable, noteworthy. Pass-through shipping, that's set to no. Pass-through shipping is where you want to pass the carrier's charge onto your customer. You want to charge your customer for the charge you got from the carrier. Maybe you want to mark up what the carrier charged you as well. You can do that as well in Locate using rules and carrier rules and whatnot. But yeah, generally we want to pass the shipping charges through to the customer, right? So that's what the pass-through shipping is. For some reason, that is saying no. I probably want to say yes. There's a default setting for pass-through shipping. If I want to turn pass-through shipping on for everything, we go to shipping settings. So here's the settings. I go to settings with that gear right there. Go to settings, go over here to the left, find the shipping settings. So there we are. That's why it was saying no, is because on the shipping settings, pass-through shipping cost by default was set to no. And I think we want to pass through the shipping cost by default. So I'm going to change that to yes. Default shipping part. Now this is something we need, is a shipping part that we use to charge the customer. And what we're talking about is if we go over here to parts, new part, and type, you'll see we have a shipping type part. So we need to create a shipping type part and make it the default part over here in the shipping settings. So it's saying our save failed because we didn't have the default shipping type part set. Now that we have it, it saves. It saves just fine. So probably the last couple of mentionables or noteworthy items on the sales order is invoice grouping by pack. In Locate, there are different options to invoice. So currently it's set up to create an invoice once the sales order is packed. Now at that point the invoice is not postable. It's not posting yet. Once the order is picked up or shipped, at that point the invoice becomes issued and it posts to QuickBooks. But in Locate there's a creation of the invoice and then there's an issuing of the invoice. There's sort of a two-step status of the invoice in Locate. And so once the invoice becomes issued, at that point it syncs with QuickBooks and QuickBooks sees the AR of that. And that makes sense. Don't really need to create AR when it's just packed, but once it's shipped out the door, at that point it hits accounts receivable, creates an invoice in QuickBooks. So that's what this is, invoice grouping by pack. If we go to settings here and then invoices, so the invoice settings, this is where that setting is set, invoice grouping method by pack. Notice the other options. I know a client of mine that could use this where multiple shipments to the same customer happen throughout the day and throughout the week, and the customer only wants, say, one invoice per month. Like, they don't want an invoice every time a shipment happens. Just send me a monthly invoice for all the shipments. So some nice different options here. 90% of the time we invoice by pack. So you'll see that on the sales order. Scroll down here to the bottom and we see allow Saturday delivery set to no. If we go to this customer, if we go to the carrier, this is at the carrier level we see this. We go to set up carriers, search for the carrier, pull up the carrier, scroll down, and here we see allow Saturday delivery is set on each service of the carrier. So blank is no, yes is yes. All right, let me know if you have any questions about the functions of the sales order screen. Comment below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And that's a wrap. There's the Locate Inventory sales order screen.